Mid-sized SUVs are a go-to choice for so many Australian new car buyers out there. So what better way to help you figure out which is the best car for you than to put four of the most important players up against one another?
These four cars all offer you the promise of moving your family around in comfort and safety. But which one is the best all-rounder? This test is going to help you figure it out. If you've seen our previous mid-size SUV comparison, you'll know we got back the Honda CR-V and Mazda CX-5 for this test because they came equal first in our last one. This time we've got the top spec CR-V VTI LX, which has the most safety you can get in the CR-V range. And we've opted for a higher spec CX-5, the GT, with the new turbo petrol engine, and this model is still the sales leader in the class. Third in the mix is the all-new Subaru Forester. It's our first chance to put this new model up against its peers, and we've got the flagship 2.5 IS model. We've also got the all-new Toyota RAV4 Cruiser, and the one you see here is the range-topping hybrid variant.
All of these SUVs are priced pretty close to one another. Yep, there's a mix of grades represented, and the standard inclusions vary pretty greatly too. You can read the full written review for a comprehensive breakdown on equipment levels across these models. They're all petrol-powered, automatic, and each has all-wheel drive, but there are some differences here. The CR-V has the smallest engine of these four, a 1.5 litre turbo, which has comparatively low power outputs. The CX-5 has been improved by a punchy new turbo petrol engine, which has big outputs for this segment. The Forester doesn't have a turbocharged boost, so its outputs are somewhat modest and has the least grunt of this quartet. The RAV4 uses a 2.5 litre engine too that adds electricity to the mix for surprisingly decent power outputs. There is no combined torque figure offered by Toyota. For this test, we took all four of these models out for an urban driving loop, including roundabouts and speed humps, before hitting the highway and heading onto some winding roads to see how they fared. It wasn't just me who tested all of these SUVs, they are family vehicles, and we had a sort of weird family gathering in each of them to see how they fared. And it was actually really insightful, and here's what we thought after our test. Mazda has built a reputation for offering vehicles that are fun to drive, but sadly the CX-5 GT fell short of our expectations. Yes, its engine is a humdinger, with easily the best acceleration here, but it fell short for grip. The tyres simply didn't hang on very well, and the steering has rack rattle and inconsistent weighting at times. The Subaru was mostly very predictable, and indeed, it felt better with four people on board than just one occupant. The ride is a little bouncier due to its softer suspension tune that settles down with a whole family in the seats. The steering is mostly predictable at speed and nice and light at lower speeds, making parking really easy. The Forester's all-wheel drive system held on great in the bends too. The Toyota's biggest letdown was its cabin insulation. It was the noisiest of this mix, with tyre roar and suspension rumble noticeable. But perhaps it was more noticeable because the RAV4 Hybrid is really quiet when you're using battery power only. It performs really well though, and you'll see big benefits at Petrol Bowser. More on that in a sec. Perhaps the biggest surprise here was that the Honda, which went on sale in 2017 and has seen no significant changes to the top spec model that we're testing, was a real winner when it came to the drive experience. Yep, it beat out some impressive competition in this test. We already knew it was good, but this test went on to highlight some of its strengths even further. Its comfortable ride, its direct and enjoyable steering. Generally, for everything that we did with it, it impressed us immensely. Admittedly, it does have a drivetrain that could do with a little bit more oomph, but through all of our testing, and for all of our testers, the CR-V was the favourite. During our test, we also kept a tally of fuel consumption. Now, you can see on your screen right here what each of these vehicles offers in terms of claimed fuel consumption. And on paper, it looks like there's a clear winner and it's a bit of a stacked contest. But we also measured them at the pump to see how they performed in the real world. And you can see those figures on your screen right now. We'll let you have a sec just to take it all in.
interior design is more than just nice finishes and quality materials. You need the space to be pleasant and practical. And with mid-size SUVs like these, boot space is arguably more important than back seat room, because if you've got small kids, they generally take up more space in the boot with all of their stuff than they do in the back seat. There's a bit of variance between these three in terms of boot capacity, not to mention these figures and how they translate to what's usable and what isn't. And it could be the difference between it being right for you or being ruled out. We loaded up the CarsGuide luggage in each of these models and also our trusty pram. You can see from the vision that there were some that weren't as good as others at this task. So we have a pretty clear understanding of boot space. What about the rest of the interiors? The Honda CR-V actually felt like the most premium of the four cars, and a lot of that had to do with how good the steering wheel felt. Such a nice leather, and because you're touching it all the time, it really leaves a lasting impression. It's also got leather seats, but what they've really nailed in here is the practicality. The storage is huge, a really big center storage bin with nice textured spots so your things won't slip around. And in the back seat, the three guys actually fit best in the CR-V. So this car had the most space widthways. Inside the Mazda, it's really well designed with premium finishes like leather seats and a leather steering wheel. It feels quite luxe in here for this category, and I think that's where Mazda's strong point is. They focus on the luxury styling rather than a rugged look and feel. The back seat had the least legroom, but the actual seats were the most comfortable. So it still fit our three male testers. The interiors on the Subaru are rugged and tough rather than luxury style like in some of the other cars, and I think you're expecting that from a Subaru. That's what Subaru stands for, that's what they're about. It still looks great in here. You still get a leather steering wheel. You are missing a few things though, so you are missing heated seats, which I think in a Subaru is important because it's the one car that you want to take camping or to the snow. You will get really good looking foot pedals though, which may or not make up for it. The back seat is actually really comfortable. All our three testers were happy in here with enough leg and headroom. The interiors on the Toyota are such a big improvement on their last model, and everything has changed for the better. There's really great textured finishes on the dash and on the doors. There's leather accented seats. It's mostly vegan leather, but it still looks and feels quite good. And they've used a really great rugged, rubbery finish along the shelves, along the air conditioning vents, inside the door handles. It all feels really nice in here. The back seat is big enough to fit three grown men, which we actually did, but how often are you going to have three grown men in the car? Not too often. For children, they will easily fit. It is the narrowest of the bunch though. The lay of the land is that all four of these models have touchscreen systems. The Honda and Mazda both have 7-inch systems, while the Subaru and Toyota have larger infotainment systems, both at 8 inches. They've all got Bluetooth phone and audio streaming, and each has sat-nav bundled in too. The USB count is 4 for all of them, except the Toyota, which has 5. And the Toyota is the only one with Qi wireless charging. These are family cars, and safety is vital in this market. So here's a rundown on what each of these models has. The specs we have here, all of these models have auto emergency braking or AEB, lane keep assist, and a reversing camera. From there, it's a mixed bag. Most have front and rear parking sensors, while one misses out altogether. 3 have blind spot monitoring and rear cross traffic alert, and 1 misses out on those. All of these SUVs have the maximum 5-star ANCAP rating, but the testing dates vary. Be sure to read the full review for all details.
If you're one of those customers who's looking for a brand new mid-sized SUV, geez, you are so lucky, because in this test we've found that there's something for pretty much everyone.
If you're after a rugged looking car that's really solid, the Subaru Forester 2.5 IS really impressed us today. The Mazda CX-5 GT is more stylish in design, a little bit more refined, and the engine is a peach.
The Honda CR-V VTI LX is let down just a little bit by its engine, and it misses out on a few things that stop it from being our winner in this test, like blind spot monitoring and rear cross traffic alert. But the Toyota RAV4 has both of those things and plenty more, including a very impressive hybrid drivetrain, which is truly efficient in real-world driving, and it was enough to give it the win in this test. Tell us what you think in the comments section below. Should it have been our winner, or would you choose one of the other 3 SUVs here? Let us know. And while you're in the comments section, don't forget to hit subscribe.